Are you ready to build a life full of freedom, impact, and legacy? Here I share all the things to get your mindset right to show up as your best self in your everyday and in your online business. Grab your favorite snack and let's build your blueprint. This is the Inspire Blueprint podcast with Tatiana Muse. Let's go. Hey. Welcome. This is a little bit different. This is actually my first video episode that I am recording. So you can find this exact episode either on YouTube or here on the podcast. And the reason for that is because I'm going to be talking about a fun topic today, all about building habits around just being a great entrepreneur, prioritizing yourself. I'm going to be talking about this challenge that I'm going to be running, and I wanted to make sure that everybody saw it. So just in case people don't listen to the podcast, I wanted to have an opportunity for them to still be able to participate in this challenge. So we're going to dive right in. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but I really wanted to just touch on exactly what is the purpose of this first, and then we'll get into the challenge itself. So if you have ever been a person that has tried to pursue anything, even if it's not a business, but just something, a new habit, a new thing that you're trying to make a habit, maybe it's getting up a little bit earlier, working out a little bit more, whatever it may be. I notice that sometimes we can set up the intention to do it, but if we don't take the time out to actually figure out a plan of how it's going to be implemented, and if we don't also prioritize that within our day to day schedule, it's different to just say, oh, yeah, I'm going to start working out tomorrow. But if you don't have a dedicated time that's going to be available for that, and you know how much time you're allotting to that, it could be very easy to wake up and the day goes by and you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't have any time to work out. So really what this episode is about is really getting intentional. There's our word, intentional, about things that we want to do. And so what this will really help you to do is to create good habits around prioritizing yourself, also building something of impact. So whether that is a business or if it's again a lifestyle change or something or other, and then also finding joy in every day. And that is my hope for everyone that listens to this podcast is that you have a chance to find joy in every day. You have a chance to prioritize who you are as a person, and also that you get to create something and bring it out into the world that can be impactful and help so many other people. So in doing that, it'll really push you to focus on yourself and really what you want to create. So if you are listening to this, I want you to raise your hand. I don't care where you are, if you're watching this at home, if you happen to be on a walk, in the car, raise your hand if you have ever put something off simply because you feel like you don't have time or you feel like you're just overwhelmed with the idea of even creating this thing because it just seems so much bigger than you. There's so many steps to even get started, and it just might as well just be something you think about, but you don't have time for it. If that is you, then this challenge is going to be very helpful. Also, raise your hand if you have also made an excuse or another, to where you have been wanting to read more, or you've been wanting to journal more, you've been wanting to wake up earlier, you've been wanting to get more active, anything that's going to really nourish you as a person. If that has happened and you just keep saying, like, oh, I don't have time, or oh, I'll get to it next week, I'll get to it next month, oh, I'll do it for my 2023 vision, or whatever it is, if that is you, raise your hand. And then lastly, raise your hand if you find that sometimes you're just so bogged down by the negativity of the news and sometimes even the social media networks and different things, what you see on there. And maybe even if you got somebody a little toxic in your life and they're always calling you with their problems and stuff, and you just feel like you're just surrounded by negativity and you just want to find more time to have joy, raise your hand if that's you. This is all about us building good habits to make these things no longer be us so that we can really start moving to a place of really building the blueprint, the life that we desire. And definitely, if you have not heard the foundational episode, it's called How to Build a Life You Desire. It's the first full episode. Make sure you go check that out. I break down the INSPIRE acronym, and it really gives you a foundation of what all I'm talking about, even in this challenge, but also just what is important. Okay, so now we're going to get into exactly what this challenge is. So it's called the Inspire 330 Challenge. I'm very excited because this is something that I have done myself. Over the last couple of months, I've experimented with this challenge. I've heard of all these different ones. Like, there's this one that I've heard of that people do on TikTok, and it's called the 75 soft challenge, 75 hard challenge. I said soft, kind of weird, but 75 soft, 75 hard. If you've heard of it, drop a comment in the YouTube comments if you're watching in a video, or let me know on Instagram DMs if you're listening on the podcast. But if you've ever heard of that challenge before, I guess it's basically to help people to really get back into working out, get active, but it also has some elements in there of getting up a little bit earlier, reading books, and different things like that. And so I was like, okay, I would love to do something like that. But the reality is, I know I'm not working out 45 minutes a day, or it's something crazy like they're all different and you can kind of modify it and stuff, but I know the 75 hard one seemed a little bit like, "Woo," and it's for 75 days. And so I wanted to create something that was really about getting out of your own way and kind of taking baby steps to work towards a bigger purpose of what you're trying to do. And so I created one and it's called the Inspire 330 Challenge. Okay. I love the name. And I'm excited to share a little bit more about what this is. So, first of all, like I said, this is going to be a challenge that I'm going to be inviting my community to participate in with me. We're going to be doing it together for an entire week. And what I love about that is that it gives us this accountability. So, you don't need to have the community to do this. And I'm going to tell you about it here in this podcast. So, honestly, you could even do it on your own. But if you want to have the little workbook that I'm creating for this challenge, if you want to have the accountability and support and have a chance to win some fun prizes, then you definitely may want to sign up. So, first of all, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. I do have a little page where you can go and sign up for this challenge. It's tatianamuse.com/inspire challenge. And that is TATIANAMUSE.com/inspire challenge. And what you'll find on there is a place for you to sign up to join, get on the email list. There's going to be emails sent to you throughout this challenge every day just to kind of remind you, motivate you. I'm also going to be doing a ton of content in my Facebook group. So make sure you're a part of that. You'll have a link to join that as well. There's also going to be a little workbook to help you get geared up and excited for the challenge. And today we're going to just talk a bit about what exactly this is, and you can kind of get ready for it. So I'm posting this a little bit early on YouTube and on the podcast. So then that way you have some time to get ready to join us. The challenge itself will be getting hosted live, and it's going to be happening the week of November 7th all the way through November 13th. This is getting exciting and it's gearing up for the Inspire Blueprint shop, which is going to be launching that following week, y'all. I cannot believe it. The Inspire Blueprint shop is going to be filled with so many amazing things to just get you fired up about what you're doing. Get you organized, get you productive within your business and your life. There's going to be some Bun Girl stuff. If you're not familiar with Bun Girl, she is a little drawing that I created some years ago, and it has kind of become a staple of my brand. It was originally with the Stationary Muse, and I have brought that image to the Inspire Blueprint. So there's going to be some fun stuff launching just a little bit before Black Friday. So if you're excited about that, then also that's another reason to join the challenge too, so that you'll get some of those exclusives about that launch because it's coming. So this is really getting us geared up for that launch, but more importantly, it's to really help you get out of your own way. That is the whole point of the Inspire 330. So November 7th through the 13th, it'll be taking place for a full week in the Facebook group. There'll be emails, workbook, the whole nine. So let's backtrack and let's talk a bit about okay, what exactly is this? So there will be a lot more of a deep dive into this within if you get that workbook I mentioned. But the first thing is, like I said, make sure you listen to that foundational episode that breaks down the acronym INSPIRE. It's episode 1. The reason for that is because the pre-planning of this challenge is going to be to kind of work through that acronym to figure out what areas you need to improve on. The whole point of the Inspire 330 is to help you not only prioritize yourself, but it's also to help you bring something into the world of impact. And that can look very different for all of us. And what that could be, it could be a system for your household. It could be you starting a business. It could be you launching a brand new product or a program. It could be you starting a YouTube channel or a website or blog. There's so many different things when I think of someone bringing something into the world that's going to benefit other people, that's going to impact them. So it doesn't have to be this huge thing of like, oh, I'm trying to go global. It could simply be you wanted to make an impact in your home, in your children's lives. That's what this is all about. And so, with that, we have the acronym, which is intentional, nourish, success, peace, increase, real, enjoy. And when you know what all of those mean, it can be very easy to identify where you're feeling there are some gaps. Do you feel like you're approaching things but not really super intentional about it? How can you improve on that? How have you been nourishing yourself? Have you been taking care of your body? Have you been fueling yourself with things that teach you something new and just really make you feel good about the day ahead? What is your definition of success? Have you been kind of blinded by what you're seeing online and you need to get back refocused on what you want? Have you been having peace in your life? How can you fill some of your days with some peaceful moments, quiet moments, calm moments? Also, increase. What are some things that you would love to see more of in your life? How can you be more expectant and just very grateful for what you have, realizing that you can always have more? Being real, how are some areas in your life maybe where you're kind of holding back? Maybe it's within a friendship, it could be at work, it could be your platform online, the business that you run. How can you bring more of your authentic self? And then also enjoy. So, how can you fill those days with joy, which is another big part of this challenge? How can you start having more moments of joy and smiles and laughter and all of that? And so, that is what the acronym is all about. And so now let's get into this challenge. So again, I highly encourage you sign up, even if you don't participate in the Facebook group with the prizes and the accountability, at least sign up so that you can get the workbook because I think it'll help you work through this challenge a bit more. And I encourage you to go past the 7 days. But once you kind of hear about this, you decide if you think you could do it for longer. I think it's definitely setting you up to want to continue, honestly. So the first part of this, it's called the 330 challenge, Inspire 330. So there are three things happening for 30 minutes. And then there's also three things that you're going to reflect about each day. So the first thing is we're going to wake up 30 minutes earlier for a more intentional morning. So there's going to be a spot in the workbook for you to actually take a moment to just plan out what intentional morning looks like for you because everyone's is different. So if there's just something you've been really wanting to do, and maybe you're finding that you just haven't had time in your days, if you're waking up 30 minutes earlier than you already do, maybe before your kids, before your email starts going off, before you are scrolling, what can you do with that 30 minutes? So making it more intentional. The next one is 30 minutes of a new habit or an activity that you've been wanting to pursue or get back into. You want it to be enjoyable. It shouldn't be full of stress, this thing. It should be something that just nourishes you, really brings you peace. We're using those words from the acronym, and that's what it's all about. It's really creating a new habit for yourself. And I know for me, one of the things that I've been doing is reading a lot more. I've been getting so much more into reading just some good fiction books. And y'all, it's been so good. It's so cool to just escape and read a good book. And so that's an example of something you could do with the 30 minutes, but it could be anything. You could be learning how to play an instrument, learning a new language, whatever is just going to kind of nourish you in a way that is teaching you something new, is giving you pockets of peace within the day. And what's nice about this is you can stack these things on top of each other for the challenge. So if you're waking up 30 minutes earlier, you could also use that 30 minutes to do this new habit or activity. So that's kinda cool as well. It could also be something to get your body moving as well. I'm thinking about during my challenge, I might do that. I've been wanting to get back into yoga, been making some excuses, and so I think that that will be what I'm gonna do for my, Inspire 330. And then the last part is to dedicate 30 minutes each day to something that you're bringing into the world. So this could be you wanting to start a stationery business. It could be you wanting to start some type of social platform. Maybe you want to start a nonprofit organization. You might want to start something at your church. Whatever it is that you're bringing into the world, I mentioned earlier, if it's something you want to do within your household. I know I really was trying to create a really nice family calendar for my family, just as far as just different activities we can do, some traditions we can build. Really got encouraged by Maddie James' Everyday Magic book. And I'm like, okay, I want to make this thing happen. But sometimes things like that, we go in with the best of intentions to want to do it, but we don't always have the time. So if you are putting on your calendar, I have 30 minutes blocked off to build out this thing that I'm working on. Maybe you want to start a book club or a Bible study with friends, like something where you know you need to put some attention to build it out. It doesn't have to just be a business. And you're going to dedicate 30 minutes a day to this. So ideally, you're gonna be dedicating an hour to an hour and a half out of your day to do this challenge. And like I said, you can stack it. So you could use the 30 minutes in the morning to do one of those things, to do the thing you're bringing into the world, or to do what you're trying to pursue as far as the new activity or the new hobby. So that's completely up to you. Or you can literally do like a new morning routine and just let that 30 minutes be more like sacred for your morning. However, you want to swing it, the point is to just start making this a habit. Now, it's only for 7 days though. So if you're feeling like after the week is over and you want to keep going, I encourage you to do that because a lot of times we have these big ideas of things we want to do and it can feel overwhelming. And so if you are already making a habit and you realize like, oh, actually getting up 30 minutes earlier actually allows me to work on this business idea I've had for the last year. I think I'm going to continue to do it. Like I encourage you to keep going. And then the last part of this challenge, which I think is just important so that you have a way to reflect. I love reflection. And that is you can journal this, you can put it in your phone, however you want to record it. There will be some spots within the workbook for this too, is a 3-minute reflection, reflecting on three things. So, one thing that you were grateful for the day, one thing you accomplished for the day, and one thing you learned about yourself or something new that you learned. So that could kind of be a twofold. Maybe you learned, that you are a little bit more hard-headed than you thought, right? Or you learned how to cut tomatoes the right way. There's all kinds of different things. So those are the things for your reflection. And then within the group, we're going to have different exercises each day during the week just to encourage you, keep you motivated, remind you to do the reflection, remind you to keep going. And just it's all about just having that accountability and the encouragement to do it. I think it's always fun to do things like this with a group because you don't feel alone. And then if there's a day where you're kind of like, oh, maybe I'll fall off, but then you might read someone saying, like, oh my gosh, I accomplished this thing. So it's definitely going to be fun to do it along with the community. But that is essentially the Inspire 330 challenge. So as a quick recap, you're going to do three things for 30 minutes a day. Wake up 30 minutes earlier for your intentional morning routine, 30 minutes of a new habit or activity, and 30 minutes each day to work on something that you're bringing into the world. And you can figure out what those to dos are for those different pockets of time. I'll definitely be giving some tips in the group as well if you're needing some help deciding. And the workbook will also kind of prompt you to. And then you wrap it up every day with your daily reflection, or you could even do it the next morning, however works, where you're reflecting on one thing you're grateful for, one thing you accomplished for that day, and one thing you learned about yourself or something new that you learned. So that is how it's going to go. I would love for you to participate in this challenge for so many reasons. Definitely just because I love to just encourage and just see people doing amazing things, but also because I'm getting excited. Like November is a really fun month for the Inspire Blueprint. Again, I'm launching and I just want to make this one big party. I'm so excited. The prizes as well are going to be pretty good. We have some good prizes. I have a vision board party coming up in December. So there's going to be chances to win tickets to that. There's going to be some new products that I'm launching where you'll be able to win that. Like one of them is a new notebook design that I have coming. There's going to be a Starbucks gift card, stationery, all kinds of fun stuff. So there's going to be tons of opportunities to win just by simply showing up, participating in the challenge for the week, and then you can win some fun prizes along the way. And another thing that I hope for you too is that in this you will see that you can make the time. When you get intentional about something, you put it on your calendar, you make an alarm for it. It's a whole different ball game than when you just wake up and say like, "Oh, maybe I have some time to work on this thing today." It's very different when you approach it where it's kind of like a fly by seat thing, like, "Oh, maybe I'll get to do this, maybe I won't." This challenge is like, "No, I'm gonna actually make this time out. I'm planning my week out and I have a time block for this." Now, if there is someone, because I always like to just touch on this in case there's the person that this doesn't work for, if you're finding that, yeah, I don't even have an hour or hour and a half to dedicate to this challenge, I really encourage you to look at your day and just see what all you have going on currently. I know for me, when I found the time to be able to read these books, because sitting down and reading a book is definitely a dedication. It takes patience. And especially when, for me, I'm a person that likes to go, go, go and scroll on my phone and do things. Sitting down and reading a book sometimes feels, or it felt like I was being not lazy, but it just felt like I could have been doing something else with my time. And so, first of all, it's just working that muscle. So, even if you're not able to do the three things for 30 minutes, even just picking one of those, so just for 30 minutes out of your day, I encourage it, whether it is waking up 30 minutes earlier to do your routine, if it's 30 minutes for you to learn something new or, do a new habit, if it is 30 minutes of you working on something you're trying to create to bring out to people. Is what I would say. If you're finding that it's busy, still try to pick one of those three things to do for 30 minutes and do the reflection. And I think that it'll still give you somewhat of the same effect because it's still something new that you're trying to do within this week. So that is it. That is the Inspire 330 challenge. Welcoming you to come. I'm inviting you to come. Make sure you go to tatianamuse.com/inspire challenge to get all of the details and sign up and join us. It kicks off November 7th and it goes all the way through that week until November 13th. And I would love to see you in there. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for watching over on YouTube. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening to the Inspired Blueprint podcast. I hope it encouraged you in some way. If it did, please take a moment to leave a review and share your favorite moment. Lastly, come connect with me over on YouTube and Instagram at Tatiana Muse. Have an amazing day.